Hey everyone, this is Clint Emerson, retired Navy SEAL and author of The Right Kind of Crazy. You are listening to the Talking Lead podcast, and we've been leducating the unleducated since 2012.
All right, Lead Heads. We are back with another episode of the Talking Lead podcast, leducating the unleducated since 2012. If you guys didn't have an opportunity, make sure you go back to last week's episode, 323, where we had EAA, European American Armory Corporation on. We had Keith and Bill, and they sent me that Gobbler shotgun, the 12-gauge turkey gun. I've been trying that out. We talked about that, and we talked about the other offerings from EAA. Don't want to miss that. Go back, check it out, and you're going to have a little surprise there too. Bill is actually a well-known infomercial personality. He's like way before was that guy named Billy Mays? The Ginsu knife. If you're familiar with the Ginsu knife, that's the voice that you hear in our podcast last week. Bill is the voice of the Ginsu knife. In Japan, the hand can be used like a knife. And I'm sure our guest is familiar with that commercial. So I'll go ahead and introduce our guest this week. We have retired Navy SEAL and author, and he has a best-selling book called 100 Deadly Skills. And his latest book was just released on Veterans Day. I do believe I've got that date right. And as you guys are listening to this, it's out. It's ready. You can go get it. It's called The Right Kind of Crazy, and the author is Clint Emerson. Clint, welcome in.
Hey, thanks for having me, buddy. Yeah, it came out today, the day after Veterans Day.
Okay.
Because a holiday, so they just round to the next day. But yeah, it's available now in all stores, and of course Amazon.
There you go. And this is through Atria Books, which is a division of Simon & Schuster. And I want to thank David Brown again for setting this interview up with Clint. So thank you, David. We appreciate that. I know the Lead Head Brigade will be excited for this interview too. So I got an advanced copy of your book and was able to – I actually just finished it yesterday.
Awesome.
I'm a slow reader, but you know I enjoy savor. I savor my books. So
yeah, there you go.
And it was a very good read, Leadheads. So I can tell you firsthand that this has got some humor. It's got real life stuff in it, and then he's got some, as much as he can tell, some of the secret stuff that he was involved with. So a little bit about Clint. He's a retired Navy SEAL. He spent 20 years conducting special ops all over the world while attached to SEAL teams, including SEAL Team 6 and the NSA, the National Security Agency. And you used an array of practical skills to protect yourself while at home and abroad. And that led you to create, which you talk about in the book, Violent Nomad. We're going to talk a little bit about that. You have your own company now, too, Escape the Wolf.
Yes, Escape the Wolf, Crisis Management.
Crisis Management. We're going to talk about that. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the book. But first, Clint, it's time for the Talking Lead Jackwagon train. So, Gunny, bring that train in.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the Talking Lead Jackwagon of the week, so brace yourself, baby.
Nice.
All right, the train has stationed. And haven't had as many of you Leadheads send in Jackwagons, I guess because we got a shorter span of time between the last episode and this episode. But that's okay. I know you guys will flood me in the meantime. So I've got a couple of Jackwagons that I want to point out. And this was one that you can relate to, Clint.
All right.
And you talk a little bit about it in your book, too. So this comes to us from the WashingtonPost.com. It says, soldiers with top secret clearances say they were forced to use an app that could endanger them. So the story goes on. This is November 12th, 2019. Soldiers in an intelligence unit with top secret clearances were ordered by their commander to download an information app, triggering fear their secretive work would be harnessed and exploited by adversary governments. Soldiers in the unit told the Washington Post. And it names names in this. I'm not going to name any names on the show here. But basically, the commander told the soldiers in late October a new app developed for the unit could provide weather updates, training changes, and other logistics. She then told the soldiers to download it on their personal smartphones, according to a Texas-based soldier in the unit. And then, of course, the soldiers are cringing at this because as they go and read the terms of service, said it could collect substantial amounts of personal data and that the developer has a presence overseas. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, the first thing I always look at with apps, especially if I'm going to be using them for work, is like, okay, who developed it? Where are they located, right? Mm-hmm. And then even more so, apps rely on servers because all of that information is stored in the cloud. Right. that little icon you have on your phone is really, it's minimal, right, as far as how big it is. And then as soon as you click on it, it's attaching to something. And so it's who developed it, what country they based out of, and then more importantly, where are the servers located? Because all of that certainly leads to exploitation if, now obviously they probably contracted and vetted a company to build this thing, but even then, contracting officers, as I know, don't always do all the best, due diligence on who's actually building the app and where it's being, hosted.
Right. So it goes on to say the app's permissions, which suggested it could pull GPS location data, photos, contacts, and even rewrite memory cards. Frustrated soldiers who have taken extreme precautions, they felt were glossed over. Trotter is, I guess, the commander's name, and other senior leaders. The worst-case scenario, he said, was our cover might be blown. While the app said permissions could be disabled, the soldiers said there was a failure of confidence it was secure. Senior leaders checked the phones of subordinates to ensure they had the app installed, soldiers in the unit said. So they were forced to do this, whether they wanted to do it, whether they wanted to do it or not. Yeah.
That is kind of weird. It almost makes you think that there's something else with the app and why they would want all the soldiers downloading it, like something more Army specific that they're not saying out loud.
Right.
Yeah.
They have ulterior motives for this app, probably, than what they're telling them, huh?
Maybe. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theory person, but let's face it. I mean, it's the military. They can do it. They try to do whatever they want. I mean, as we all know, you're just a cog in a big wheel. So
as you unfortunately found out, right?
Oh yeah.
We're going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
What about you, Clint? Does anybody come to mind that you want to throw on the jackwagon train, or anything maybe like this app?
Since this is book launch day, as a book launch, you rely heavily on getting any kind of exposure, right? So David setting us up is, part of the deal. So it's podcasts, it's radio, tours, it's all kinds of stuff. But the one thing I didn't get this time around that's usually not too difficult to get is like a national spot, like Fox and Friends or Today Show, all those big things. Well, we were put on standby, and so it's not really a news piece, but it just shows how infatuated the media is with Trump, where they give him every bit of the airwaves, right? And then they're always on standby for the next person that has something controversial about him as well. And so they rack and stack, like for us, like us authors, we're not getting any exposure whatsoever because they rack and stack all of that. Their days worth of events are built around Trump. The president.
Yeah.
And So I kind of thought this is the first time you kind of notice how much they are just 100% all about him.
He dominates the news. I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever seen in my, almost 50 years now. It's unreal how much he dominates every bit, every aspect of the news.
And it's 24/7, right? And it's on all platforms. It's social media. It's the conventional, media. It's the press. It's the print. I mean, you name it, that they are just all waiting for the next whatever to happen.
That's right. Well, as our lead heads know, we don't do that here. Yeah,
exactly.
There are other shows that do that, and they do it well, and they can keep on. So
that's right.
All right, I've got another one here before we get the train out of here, and this just kind of goes to people's sensitivities nowadays. How people are just oversensitive, I think. So this comes from phys.org, and I think it's like a physics, astronomy, more scientific type website. NASA renames faraway ice world Arrokoth after backlash. So here's the story. The previous name of this ice world was called Ultima Thule. It's the farthest cosmic body ever visited by a spacecraft. Has been officially renamed, and it's Arrokoth. It's an Indian word. I'm going to say Arrokoth, which means sky, in the Native American Powhatan, Powhatan. Is that familiar to you? Powhatan, Powhatan. And Algonquin languages, following a significant backlash over the old name's Nazi connotations. So, again, I mean, the Nazis are still ruining our modern-day world, turning us upside down. So it says, the icy rock, which orbits in the dark and frigid Kuiper belt about 1 billion miles beyond Pluto, was visited by the NASA spaceship New Horizons in January this year, with the first detailed images showing it consisted of 2 spheres stuck together in the shape of a snowman. So you guys can go and read all this about this place, but here's the juice of it. The name sparked a backlash because it was co-opted by far-right German occultists in the early 20th century as the fabled ancient northern country of the Aryan people, the term they used to describe Proto-Indo-Europeans. Their Thule society later became Adolf Hitler's Nazi party, and the term remains popular in alt-right circles. It is, for example, also the name of a Swedish white power rock group. Who knew? Who knew all this? Yeah. I mean, you could have told me that place was called Ultima Thule, and I was like, that's kind of a cool name.
Right.
Which it was in existence before the Nazi party adopted it, just like the swastika.
Right.
It had been around, and it had no negative connotations whatsoever, been used by civilizations for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years before the Nazis adopted it. And now that's what the swastika has become, and if it's ever seen, then that's what you're accused of.
Yeah. No, I think that sounds a little foolish. I mean, I if you don't want history to repeat itself, right, leave stuff alone.
Exactly.
Right? You want to tear down every statue, you want to rename everything and erase what happened, it's kind of, I just don't get it. It's counterproductive. It's good, regardless of its history, one, right? It's come and it's gone. And, we just move on.
That is true. And that's, I mean, again, like you said, the erasing history is how history repeats itself.
Yeah.
If we don't have it there to learn as an example, then the generations that are to come are they're destined. It's going to happen. History will repeat itself.
Well, yeah, and if you don't leverage the lessons learned from those events, right, you just stop talking about them. You act like it never happened. You rename it. well, then, what's to prevent anybody from thinking, oh, I got a great idea.
Right.
And
exactly.
then, but it's not. It's actually something that's already been happened, whether it's genocide or I want to torture people or
right.
whatever it is.
I got a great idea. How about all white people with blue eyes should be the only people living on the planet? Well, they tried that.
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
So yeah, I just again, another one of those stories that you hear that just makes you go, man, really? Why?
Yeah, just leave it alone.
Damn it, Hitler.
Yeah, he gets blamed for a lot. It's all right.
Well, I mean, he's dead, so he's a good scapegoat, right?
Right.
All right, Leadheads, send in your jackwagons, talkinglead@gmail.com, and we'll read them here on the air. So, gonna get that train out of here. We want to talk some good stuff now. Bring in the Lead Head Brigade Heroes, Lead Force 1. It's taxing in now.
Air Force 1 is with you, 12 miles on the ILS. X-ray, 16 right, final.
Air Force 1, contact Reno Tower, 118.7. Have a good day.
Air Force 1, push in tower, good day.
And Clint, our pilot for that, believe it or not, is the ghost of Charlton Heston.
I like it.
It's not Charlton Heston, but it's the ghost of Charlton Heston. So,
all right.
So we had this contest a while back. We've done the Jackwagon train. I've been doing the show for 7 years, and we've been doing a version of the Jackwagon train for about 7 years. And we had some suggestions from Leadheads that, hey, you're bringing out all these bad people and showing them. Why don't we do something to honor and recognize the people doing good? So we had a contest. And I was like, okay, you guys want it? I'm going to let you name it, and you get to pick your own pilot and everything. And we had fun with it. Gave lots of stuff away to our Leadheads, and they finally settled on Lead Head Brigade Heroes as the title, and they're going to be in a plane, and the plane's going to be Lead Force 1, and the pilot, out of all the choices that they suggested, they voted. I let them vote on it. The ghost of Charlton Heston won.
Nice.
Even the guy from Independence Day, the drunk dad, you remember him who flew?
Oh, yeah.
Who sacrificed himself and flew up into the alien? He was a nominee.
Oh, nice.
But that's how we came up with that. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I like it. Yep.
All right, so
it goes well too with the lead head piece.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you'll see that I do a spin on talking lead with everything that I do with the Lead Head Brigade, the leducating, the unleducated. Clint, we even have our own mug. It's called the Talking Leady, the Evil Black Assault mug.
I like it.
Keeps your drinks minutes colder than the Yeti, the Talking Leady. Get it today.
There you go. Plug it. Buy one now.
And you can go to our website, and there's links there where you can go get your Leadheads. All right, so our first hero that we're going to put on the plane, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I mean, we're a day late, but it's never too late. In honor of Veterans Day, we're bringing in the biggest Lead Force 1 ever, and we're putting all our veterans on that plane. So that's my nomination for this week's Lead Head Brigade Heroes.
I like it. Sounds good to me. That sounds like a plan. Yeah. You have a specific seat for all the major wars, too. I think that'd be a good way to break it up.
Or we could just, each war gets their own plane.
There you go.
There you go. Bring the fleet in.
Yeah. I like
all right. So Mark Peck, Leadhead Mark, sends this in. Says the 2A doesn't apply just to firearms. And this is a crazy one. So brace yourselves. Let me get the link come up here. This is on Blue Lives Matter. And the headline is, Intruder breaks in man's house, then homeowner goes medieval with a battle axe. And
I like it.
I'm going to show you, I don't know if you can see this or not.
Oh, yeah.
Can you? It's like somebody from the Planet of the Apes or something. I don't know. It's like, Cornelius or something. So this is in, looks like Michigan. And that's just the way this starts off. A competitive combat hobbyist used a replica battle axe to fend off a convicted felon who broke into his home on Wednesday night.
I like it.
A competitive combat hobbyist. Ben Ball said he was home alone playing video games, shocker, at approximately 11:30 p.m. when someone began pounding on his door. The suspect, later identified as Alex Laval Rawls, used to date Ball's female roommate, but she moved away in order to distance herself from Rawls. Apparently Rawls is a bad dude. So basically what happens, I guess dude told her she didn't live there anymore. He didn't believe her. He kicks the door in, and then this competitive combat hobbyist has handy a sharpened battle axe, and he begins to use it, slay, chop the intruder several times. They said there was a fisticuffs ensued. The dude's apartment was completely trashed. There's a video. If you guys go and look this up, I'll put a link on our show notes when I post the show. But the video is hilarious, and this dude is, I would love to get him on the show. He's wearing a Star Wars T-shirt. He's got, I don't know, what kind of toboggan you call that, where they come down over your ears?
Yeah, I saw that.
Like an Elmer Fudd kind of toboggan. He's got a chin goatee that goes down to mid-chest. And he looks stoned out of his mind. And even in the interview, there's a bottle of liquor on the table next to him as they're doing the interview with this dude. It's
he's like an all right guy.
It's hilarious, but he's our hero. Mark wants to put him on the Lead Force One as our hero, exercising his Second Amendment right to a battle axe.
Nice, I'd take it.
No, so it's about honoring people who we feel have done something good and deserve some recognition.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that kid racked it up for sure.
Just to counteract all the negativity, from our jackwagon train. So.
Right.
What about you? You got a hero? You got somebody or something? Doesn't have to be a person either. It could be an animal. It could be a product maybe or something, or a company.
I'm thinking something recent.
Simon and Schuster?
Yeah, to all the publishers out there, Simon & Schuster comes in first place. Man, I mean, I got to say, this book was not written solely by me, right? Most SEALs don't write their own books. So it was it was a collective effort of all the guys I served with over the 20 years, right? So I had to do interviews with all of them to plug in the many memory gaps that I have. And I got to give it to them on this one, because it this thing wouldn't have been put together as well as it was with the details that it has without those guys providing some great memories that I had somehow forgotten. So
a little fact checking for you.
Oh yeah, you got to give it to them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you acknowledge them in your book as well toward the end. I did read that also. So.
Yeah. Yep. Generally, I kind of give them a little bit of Bravo Zulu.
Give them a nod. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's get that plane out of here now. Ghost, get us out of here. Go support our heroes. And if you haven't gone and thank the vet, make sure you go and do that. Veterans Day is, it's a day that's designated, but every day is a great time to go and thank a vet. Just take that opportunity and let them know how much you appreciate their service and what they do and their sacrifices, because they do sacrifice a lot. And you make that perfectly clear in this book too, about all the sacrifices that you had to make.
That's right.
So let's do that, Clint. Let's talk about your first book that you had. How long ago was that? The 100 Deadly Skills.
Yeah, that's turned into a little short series, and the first one came out about 4 years ago. And it was pretty much right after I got out of the Navy, started working on it, and built it in about a year, and then published it right after that.
So what's it about? Just a high level, get us interested.
Yeah. 100 Deadly Skills is really, I'm always trying to promote that everyone should be more self-reliant and self-rescue capable, right? We're all first responders these days. It's not just limited to the people that show up with, the red and blue and white lights flashing. It's all of us at this point. And so that's really the emphasis. And 100 Deadly Skills gives people a lot of great skills, most of which were developed by bad guys. And so number one, it builds awareness, right? If I know how bad guys operate, then I will be able to be more in tune and alert to any of the cues or clues in the environment before something bad happens, right? So by knowing your adversary's tactics increases awareness. Number two, it gives you those skills really easy. It's illustrated for all of those crayon eaters, that don't know how to read. And it gives you step-by-step on how, it gives you step-by-step on how to do those skills. And but the beauty of it, number one, it sat on the New York Times list for like 8 months straight, which shows that this country is finally taking safety and security seriously, right? And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Leadheads know we preach that on the show. We are a 2A centric show, and if you're going to take that obligation of carrying a firearm, you got to get trained, not only with your firearm, but you need to take medical training also. And it sounds like this book would add a whole lot of skills to their bag of tricks.
Oh yeah, 100 Deadly Skills. Both books give you all the skills to defeat bad guys and also survive major crises. So, and everybody so far has loved it. So I know your following will dig it too.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's next on my list. I'm going to get that. And you talk it up a little bit toward the end of the book there too. And I was like, oh, so the stuff you're talking about, that's in that book. I got to get that book. So.
That's right.
Which brings us to the right kind of crazy. Clint Emerson, author of the New York Times bestselling 100 Deadly Skills. My Life as a Navy SEAL, Covert Operative, and Boy Scout from Hell.
That's right.
And you were a little shit, man.
If you read it, you know.
Sound like my childhood.
Well, hey, then, that's the thing is it's like, hey, let's bring back some of this old school thought process, old school culture, and there are so many themes in this book, right? And we layered them all throughout, hopefully, so that any reader just has a ton of lessons that they can learn from through my mistakes. Because like I've been telling people, right, bad decisions make for great stories. And this book is full of bad decisions, as you know. And I only put the ones in there that I couldn't get in trouble for. So the ones that I could actually get in trouble for, I certainly didn't put in writing. But I did push the limits with some stuff that I think we all have a little bit of that if you grew up in the 70s, 80s time frame. Now, as soon as you get into the 90s and 2000s, I mean, these kids, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about your background as a Navy SEAL. Well, let's go back before that. Let's talk about your childhood. You were a Boy Scout. Worked your way up to Eagle Scout.
That's right. I grew up in the scouting world when it was actually fun. There wasn't any controversy about he-she's and she-he's and whatever else has come up.
That has ruined it.
I know. It was actually, I learned. I mean, it's such a great foundation there. And, it seems these days it's been plagued by, equal opportunity type stuff. And I get it. But, I mean, why is it such a big deal for there to be boy-centric group, girl-centric group? Why can't the SEAL community be a bunch of alpha males, right, that go around the world killing people?
Right.
We got to go and have these discussions and these arguments about, gender stuff. And I'm just like, well, just leave it alone, man. There's nothing wrong. It ain't broken. So why are you trying to, not fix it? So it's,
It's like they're trying to break it. It's like, what can we do to break this? It appears to be working. The scouts appear to be making our young men responsible, educated, motivated individuals. What can we do to fuck that up?
Right. Yeah. And it's like people are just getting bored. Like, what else needs to be messed with? And I don't get it. But anyway, the Boy Scouts certainly, for me, during that time frame, laid a great foundation, and everything from, I swam. A lot of people show up to SEAL training, and that's their first time to swim over a mile. Oh my God! I swam my first mile for the 1 mile merit badge, right? And so that was when I was a kid. There's a lot of first time things that happen in the scouting community that I think are great for creating responsible, men. And that's all obviously the goal of the organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had the opportunity to travel around the world when you were younger.
I did.
Not all over the world, but you were in several different places, and you talk about that in the book. And you spent some time in the Middle East. And
I did. I grew up in Saudi Arabia, and my dad worked for an oil company, and I was there from second grade all the way to high school. Came back to the States for high school.
Yeah. Am I ruining it by saying, and I'm holding the finger quotes up, your dad worked for an oil company? Is that giving anything away?
There is an underlying tone there, but can neither confirm nor deny, and that's reality. I mean, he died right before I could actually find out the good stuff. But
so you still have it. That's still a mystery to you to this day,
to a certain degree, certain aspects. Yeah.
That's got to be frustrating.
It is a little bit, man. It just kind of leaves a big question mark, in a good way.
Sure.
It's just when it's he was the biggest influence in my life, like for many people. So yeah, it's a good question mark for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, no doubt you had a very interesting childhood, but everything is like you laid it out. I mean, everything that you were doing in your childhood, it was just like the pathway that led you to the SEALs.
It is being a troublemaker. I mean, anybody who's listening, you think if you've got troublemaking in your DNA, join the military, because trust me, you will be a stellar operative, whatever path you choose.
Right.
You will be great at it because you need that kind of risk versus reward. You don't give a shit about consequence type attitude in order to win over today's adversaries, and that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, and that goes to your one of your mottos is if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Is that what it was?
That's right. Yeah, and it's the unofficial motto of the SEAL community all the way up until God, what was it, 2004 or 5, when we finally got an ethos? Okay, the SEAL community did not have an ethos.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It had nothing, right? So our unofficial mantra was, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And, which is great, right? It's all about, hey, do whatever it takes to win against your adversaries.
Right.
Now, they're not even allowed to say that in SEAL training any longer because we've always had incidences. It's just not till recently they make the news and they're turned into a big deal, but we've always had that. It's part of the culture, right? Yeah. It's the kind of people you attract. And I always tell people, if you're going to attract a guy that loves risk, then of course he's going to take risks in his personal life and sometimes get caught and get in trouble. So Anyway, short story is, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, unfortunately has gone away. But I truly believe it is a great piece of the culture.
No doubt from the SEALs that we've had on the show, they all seem to have a certain personality,
Yeah.
And the ones that I know personally, too. We probably know some of the same guys, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I was talking earlier, we had Jack Carr on. Our lead heads, he has the terminal list and the
True Believer.
Yeah, True Believer. Yeah. Thank you. Did you and Jack serve together?
We overlapped almost the entire 20 years. He came in, I think he was a little bit behind me, maybe 10 BUDS classes behind me, retired around the same time. Not once did we work together, but we were parallel but never got to meet each other. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's funny. It's a small community, but everyone's, always gone. So you only really get to know the guys that are next to you,
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So, in the book, what do you call this? Where they're doing the write-up, the epilogue? Is that what it is? No, not the epilogue.
Oh, yeah. Epilogue, yeah.
It says that you are the only SEAL ever inducted into the International Spy Museum. What's that about?
First, I don't write all this flowery crap about myself, so.
But it must be true, right?
The word indoctrinated, I'm like, wow, I don't even think I know how to spell that. But basically, I have been a friend of the Spy Museum out there in D.C. for quite some time. I've been a big supporter. I donated some of my stuff to them, and they do a great job keeping the world of espionage and assassinations and all that kind of more discreet warfare alive. And in the new museum they just built is out of control. Like, it looks like MI6 headquarters, but when you go inside, it is about as high tech as it comes. And they dedicated a little area with a picture of me and the artifacts I donated, and it's really cool. It was I had no idea that was the route that it was going to go.
Yeah.
I was just like, here, I don't need this stuff anymore. And then they turned it into something pretty neat. And the first time I saw it was probably 6 months after they opened up the new building, and it's pretty cool. And everyone should go there if you're into anything that has to do with modern spy or even, historical spy stuff. It's the one museum where everything is interesting. You know what I mean?
Right. I bet it's cool. Yeah. It sounds like it's very cool.
Is. Now,
is it just American spy stuff, or is it from all around the world kind of stuff?
It's all around the world. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
They have a lot of Russian assassination weapons in there that still have the blood on it sitting in the case. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That
is cool. And that's in Washington?
Right. Yeah, it's in D.C. It's not far from Lafayette Plaza is where the new one is, and it's really close to all the other Smithsonian museums. And actually, interesting fact, it is the most visited museum in Washington, D.C., the Spy Museum.
The Spy Museum?
So,
wow.
Yeah.
I know there's something like 30 million people a year visit the Smithsonian. So, I mean, that's a lot of people going through there.
That's right.
Seeing your mug.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Dude, you ought to see if they put a copy of your book in there.
Yeah, I think they probably have, the gift store is pretty big, so I'm guessing my book's in there somewhere.
Let's hope so. Definitely.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the gadgets and things like that, you can't get into, I guess, a lot of detail because you get redacted a lot in this. Talk about that first off, because I wanted to ask you about that too, because a lot of this stuff that they're redacting is it's not classified stuff.
Yeah, no, they just there is a certain point of view that I think DOD is taking, and that is, if we get a manuscript, especially memoirs, we're going to hang on to it forever. And they're using a motto. I developed this motto for them that when in doubt, black it out, right? So it's very subjective. And you see, and as you read the book, I've got footnotes at the bottom that relate
Priceless.
To whatever's been blacked out. And it's usually like, fuck these guys, or,
Similar material has been published without redaction in at least one other Pentagon-reviewed SEAL book.
Yeah, exactly. I just punk them out as many times as I can because it's just ridiculous. I mean, here I am, I'm telling you about, these are the operations I conducted against bin Laden. And then right when I'm about to tell you, then they're like, no, we're not going to let them do that.
Like this one's a whole page and a half that they, they redacted.
Well, if you hold it up to the light, you'll be able to see what's really going on.
No, you cannot. I tried that.
Yeah. That only works with those crayon eaters I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's got to be frustrating to a storyteller, because some of this stuff I'm sure was, you don't put it in there unless it's key to the book,
Yeah, it's and it's not. Here's the thing: is I would never put anything in there classified, right? Hell, I don't even know. The reason you get your book reviewed is because anyone who's gotten out has no idea what is currently classified or what's been declassified. So, that's the whole purpose of the review process. But they just blacked out just such, kind of ridiculous stuff, But it makes for, an interesting read because if you really pay attention when you're reading, you can figure out what the black stuff is.
Yeah, and you kind of give a little hint sometimes in your asterisk.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thought bubbles, all my little thought bubbles
from time to time. But back to the gadgets. What's one of the coolest gadgets that you came up with on your own that you designed and developed?
Probably one of the cool ones that's original, at least it was for me, was a makeshift conceal holster out of a hangar, right? So sometimes you end up, you'll get a gun, but you don't necessarily get what you need with it because when you travel, you're not going to put that kind of stuff in your baggage or your carry-on, right? And you'd be surprised if you get overseas and you end up with a gun, it doesn't come with all the accessories. So it's on you. So if you take a wire hanger, and I described this in 100 Deadly Skills, and if you basically cut, tape, and bend into a certain fashion, you'll end up with a pretty secure makeshift inside the waist holster. And it's pretty simple. It's easy to do. And you don't have to go and increase your signature out on the town buying things. One of the philosophies is, hey, you always assume you're being watched. You always assume you're being listened to. You always assume you're being followed. And if you're assuming all those big three, then you'll end up probably doing a good job protecting yourself in the long run, right? So you don't want to go buy anything that could give someone a reason,
right,
to pull you over, ask you questions, anything of that nature. So, so you end up improvising things that you can find, and ideally they're things you find in your hotel room. So hangars are everywhere around the world, and that's probably, it's nothing cool or sexy.
Sure.
There's definitely, hey, go to the snoop. It's functional. It applies to the everyday person. Now there's other things like go to your local souk and buy a 1980s, 1990s answering machine. In every answering machine is a DTMF board, which is a dual-tone multi-frequency board. Right. On that board are relay switches so that when you call in to your answering machine, you can press 1 for rewind, press 2 for fast forward, right? Most people have no clue what any of that is these days, but overseas you can still find these things. Anyway, you can pull that DTMF board out of it, hook a cell phone up to the, basically equivalent to the inline jack, right?
Right.
Then you can take all of the leads from those relays that are very open, close, command-centric, and then go attach those to, let's say, a fuel pump. Or, hey, why not even attach it to the airbag, right? Now, I can call the DTMF board, right? And I can, once it answers, I can press 1 and make the fuel pump basically disengage, right?
Yep.
Then, once the vehicle comes to a puttering stop, then I can press 2 and launch the airbag and knock the motherfucker out, right? Then he disappears for the rest of his life, right? So,
and you may or may not have used that before.
There's a lot of interesting improvised ways to do things, and it's not rocket science. It really isn't. It's more about just having a knowledge base to even think or look in that direction or get outside the box a little bit. But yeah.
So how long have you been retired now?
Approaching 5 years. Yeah, it's gone by fast.
Okay, 5 years. And is this your third book in those 5 years?
Yeah, so 100 Deadly Skills is 2 books And then I did a 100 Deadly Skills puzzle book for PTSD and TBI guys. So it keeps them occupied, reduces anxiety, it works their brain in a way that increases cognitive and memory issues. So there's actually, I guess, 3 deadly skill books, and then I've got this memoir that kind of fills in the blank for a lot of people who bought those books, like, who the hell is this guy? And so hence the memoir. And plus, you can't be a real SEAL until you do a memoir, as everyone knows. You know.
Is that required? Is that kind of in the manual now?
Yeah, you join the Navy, you sign your book contract, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, what's the big takeaway that you want readers on the right kind of crazy to walk away with after they've read this book?
You know, like I said, there's a lot of themes. There's an underdog theme that it's okay if you're the skinny little runt that isn't that athletic and maybe not even that smart. But if you've got passion and you really want something in life, the hardest thing for most people is to identify what it is they really want in life. But once you do, and you put that little seed of passion in there, man, that's nuclear. You know what I mean? That
right.
Passion can get you through anything and make you as successful as you take it. So that's one piece of the book. The other one is, hey, if you live a life of risk and take a lot of risk, then it's naturally going to bleed into your personal life, and you end up probably divorced. You probably run through, girlfriends left and right, and that goes back to humanizing the superhero myth. Sometimes I feel is kind of that makes up the SEAL brand. So
yeah.
I've humanized it. We make mistakes. There's trial and error. We do a lot of dumb shit, and hopefully you learn from it and you move forward. And you try not to repeat mistakes over and over again, but sometimes, it's inevitable. You make a mistake a couple of times before you learn your lesson, because we're a bunch of hard-headed alpha males, right? So, but I mean, there are so many themes of this book. It's got a lot of depth. It's got a lot of personal stuff. And I think there's something to be learned by everyone, and that was really the goal of the book.
Yeah, I think so too. And, as I told you earlier, as I was reading through this, it seemed like we were, probably kindred spirits, or,
yeah.
I saw a lot of me in some of the things that you were telling the stories about. I was like, even though I didn't serve in the military, wasn't in the Navy SEALs, in other aspects, I was played a lot of sports and things like that. But was a Boy Scout, went through all that, did that. But yeah, it's a very I don't know the word I want to use. It was good. I'm not a reader. My listeners know that I'm not a big reader, and it takes a lot for me to actually sit through and start reading a book, but then to actually read the entire book, it's got to be something substantial for me to go through an entire book to read it. I've had several books where after the first 3 or 4 chapters, I'm just I'll toss it to the side.
Yeah.
I just can't get into it. But I got into this book because it was hitting all my cylinders, all my check boxes on stuff that I was hoping that you would talk about and cover, and you did in this book. So I highly recommend, Leadheads, that you go check out The Right Kind of Crazy, and I'm sure it's everywhere that you buy books. Amazon.
It is. It's sitting at Walmart, Amazon, Walmart, Target. At Walmart, it's kind of funny. Somebody sent me a picture. It's sitting in between Trump Jr. and Snowden.
No.
Interesting placement. But, yeah, it's everywhere books are sold. And then, of course, Amazon is, everybody's first choice. So,
yeah, it seems to be the easy button nowadays is going to Amazon. So, Leadheads, make sure you go pick that book up. And I think what I'm going to do is, because I've read it, Clint, I'm going to give my copy away to one lucky Leadhead. And at the end of the show, we'll let you pick who that is. And I'll send this book to them. I'm going to pay it forward.
All right. Sounds like a plan. I like it.
Is that a good plan? Very good. So I've got this line of questioning that I asked new guys, our new guests, somebody who's only been on the show, their first time on the show. And now it's time to hit you with
New guy. And sometimes a girl. Questions.
All right. What's your earliest recollection of shooting a gun? Shooting a firearm? It could be a BB gun too.
Oh wow, BB gun too, huh? Probably had to have been. It was on my grandma and grandpa's land, and it was a shorty. It was a pump 22 rifle, and it was built for like kids. Yeah. And I was probably 11, 12, somewhere around there.
Where did you grow up? In those years. Yeah, I mean, that first part was the Dallas area. Then I went to Saudi. Then I came back to the Dallas area. Dallas is always where I've reset back to. Yeah. Do you still have that 22?
I don't think so. I don't know where that thing went. It's probably being used in a robbery somewhere.
When we obviously talked about you have a military background. When did you go in? When did you sign up?
I enlisted in 94, and then I retired in 2015.
Talk just real briefly about your path from enlistment to when you retired.
Joined the Navy, went to boot camp. Then back then you had to go to an A school, which, the rest of the military calls it an MOS. And that's your specialty. So that if you don't make it through BUDS, then you have a job you can do in the fleet, which I was corpsman. So I went to corpsman school, which was, basically Navy medic. And then I went to BUDS. That's 6 months of hell. I started with Class 203. I finished with Class 203, which is kind of a big deal in the SEAL world. And then I went to 18 Delta, which is the Army's Special Operations Medical School, and got a higher level of education in trauma medicine. And then went to SEAL Team 3, did several deployments there, then went to the NSA, then went down to Virginia Beach to Dev Group, and then finished out my career there and retired.
There you go, in a nutshell.
That's it.
When it comes to pop culture, whether it's a TV show, a movie, a book, a song, video game, whatever it may be, what's your go-to? What do you do to just escape?
Escape is probably, movies. That's my default. I think that's been my default for a long time. Whenever I've got downtime and I don't have anything to do and I want to decompress, I try to find a good movie.
What's your one that you can just watch over and over and over and over again?
There's a couple.
Yeah.
I mean,
first one,
depending on my mood. Yeah. Depending on my mood, I can watch, definitely Step Brothers is that thing, dude. I don't know what it is about those two idiots. And then, if you're in like,
and bake.
That's right. Any of those would do. That's
those
right.
Two guys are knuckleheads. They're perfect together.
Yeah, they are. They complement each other well. And then any of the, me and my daughter and I are like favorites to do is any Marvel movie. We're total Marvel junkies.
For real? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of a nerd myself when it comes to that. I grew up on the comic books and all that stuff. I had two older brothers. Of course, I would get their hand-me-downs, and they were huge comic book collectors. So I got the benefit of reading all that stuff when I was growing up.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
So I got to get your take on the Infinity. What was the last one called? Infinity Wars?
Well, it was Infinity Wars. Then it was Endgame.
Endgame. Yeah, Endgame. Yeah, that's it. It was Infinity War and then Endgame.
Right. I liked them. I remember not the Endgame. I kind of, when you try and cram that many characters into one movie, it basically waters down really what's the goal, right? What's the end state here? And so I felt like I was kind of left hanging a little bit here and there, and then you sat at the end and you waited for the clue.
Right.
And if I remember right, there wasn't a clue, right? There was like, that's it. That's the end.
Because that was the end. Yeah, there's nothing else.
Right. Yeah, which was kind of a letdown. You're like, no, there's got to be a clue. There's got to be something. But
well, they're going to do more. You know, we all know
that
they're going to do more. They're going to do a different story arc now, which is cool. I'm looking forward to the direction that they're headed with all that, with the Disney app thing now. You know, they got, so they're coming out.
Oh yeah.
TV series.
Well, I know they just finished Black Widow, so I think they're going back in history a little bit to develop those characters out. So that should be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll be good. If you could identify yourself as a Marvel character, which one do you closely more resemble?
Oh, geez.
That's not a standard question, but since you're a geek like I am, I thought it'd be a good one.
Yeah. I mean, Thanos. I mean, why not?
Thanos, for real? You're not the evil.
Yeah.
You know, some people saw him as evil, but, you know, in his mind, you know, he was doing the right thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Population control.
Yeah.
Or should I say universe population control?
Yeah, the whole existence control.
Yeah, just 50%. I kind of get that, you know. I don't really like people, so I get it.
You know, he could always just, you know, double the amount of resources instead of decreasing the amount of people that use the resource or things that use the resources. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just get more planets. Get more planets.
Yeah, just the evil mindset he was in.
Yeah.
Is there or has there ever been a firearm or maybe a piece of kit that you're ashamed to admit to owning?
That's a good one. Let me think about that one. There probably is a bunch, but what's funny is before 9/11, you got issued some pretty squirrely stuff. You're always like, really? That we're SEALs and we've got this? And I'm trying to remember what this is. You know, it could be like...
that would probably be a better way to phrase that question is, you know, what's
I remember one year we got...
Yeah.
Right. One year we got issued a Glock fixed blade knife made by Glock.
I have
it had it was a long, blacked out, you know,
I have
fixed blade. You got it. You know what I'm talking about. And we kind of looked at him like, really? I mean, it kind of seemed cheesy.
Yeah.
But as a tool, it did its job. You know, what ends up happening in the SEAL community is you get issued so much crap every quarter that it's like, oh, well, I'll put this knife on this, you know, on this setup of gear, and then I'll put this knife on this setup, because you've got so many knives, you can just put one everywhere.
Yeah.
But for that Glock knife, kind of us all looking at it. And any knife that you're kind of like questionable, that becomes your new dive knife, because you're like, whatever, I don't care if I lose it.
That's funny.
Or I don't care if it gets, you know, it's always in salt water, right? You just don't care about it. I do think I always believe that the Rambo knife needs to be reinvented, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. With all kinds of cool high-speed tools in the handle and all that, you know, just bring it up to 2019, you know?
Yeah. It could be on the way. That's all I can say.
Sweet. I'll take one.
I'll take two. So the Glock trench knife, you think is probably the hinkiest thing you got issued?
I think so, man. It's been so long, but like I said at the beginning, you do get some stuff and you're kind of like, really? There's probably other stuff. I know that we got all kinds of different fins, and some of the fins that for dive operations were just crap, but somebody sold off that it was the greatest thing in the world, but not until you used them. You're like, these things don't work.
Somebody's getting a kickback.
Oh yeah. There's probably some kind of little under the table deal, but yeah, there's, you know, and there was a time when you didn't get issued body armor or cool like H gear and stuff, right? It was always, you ended up going to the airloft and making this stuff yourself, right? So that was probably the hinkiest, is any of the crap you made on your own, you look like a bunch of, nothing. And we kind of pride ourselves. Yeah. We pride ourselves on not matching, right? We don't wear, when we operate, you wear whatever you want to wear. You don't wear what everybody else is wearing. There is no uniform to it, Right. But when you've got a bunch of guys wearing whatever they want and they're making whatever they want, then you start looking funny. But
tactical hobos.
That's right. Yeah, I kind of preferred that. I kind of preferred that world.
On the opposite of that, what's the coolest or what's your most favorite piece of kit that you were issued or firearm?
I really dig the MP7. Towards the end of the career, that's all I kind of carried. And then right at the tail end, that 300 Blackout that SIG makes, we helped design that as our new kind of backpack gun. That thing is pretty cool. I mean, just like any SIG, you got to break it in. It's unfortunate. They get a bad rap for jamming and stuff, but it's because you just haven't put enough rounds through it. Yeah, the MP7, 300, what else? Then there was like the high-end cool stuff. I mean, as you noticed in the book, my world was like surreptitious entry, getting in, getting out, leaving zero, forensic traceback, zero attribution to the United States government, that kind of stuff. And so we really dumped a lot of money into some very high-tech things that allowed you to pretty much open up any door you wanted to, no matter what it was attached to, right? You could, whether it was a vessel, a vehicle, a structure, we had some pretty cool stuff to get us in and out.
Yeah.
And nobody would know the wiser. Yeah. Yeah. Sexy, cool stuff.
What is your next bucket list item? Either it's a firearm or a piece of kit, or maybe it's a vehicle. What's the next thing you got to have, want to have, you're going to get?
I am definitely going to join the van life world, right? Have you follow any of that?
The van life?
Yeah, you can get like a Mercedes Sprinter van decked out on the inside, like the finest of hotel rooms you've ever seen. Refrigerator, stove, a drop-down bed, everything you need. And my goal is get in that thing and just disappear.
That sounds like my next lead quarters right there.
It is, man. Those things, if you just start following #vanlife, it is really cool. You can buy like basically a Dodge Postmaster or a Mercedes Sprinter, any of those series of vans, 2500, 3500. It's basically if you really pay attention to the Amazon delivery trucks, that's what it is, right? And then you can deck out the back end and live in the damn thing if you wanted to, but it's kind of like this. It's like they call it stealth, stealth camping or stealth living, because there's actual people that have loaded out their vans and then live in them and park wherever they want inside urban environments. And as long as it meets certain criteria, the cops can't give you a ticket.
Oh, okay.
But it's got this huge following, but it's completely attractive to me. I kind of love that, I enjoy that minimalist kind of idea, Granted, it's a step above hanging out with a pack on in your tent. So it's not exactly minimalist, what most minimalists would consider.
Modernized minimalist.
It is, man.
I've actually looked at those and thought about turning one of those into a mobile studio for, when I travel. I mean, that would be the shiznit right there.
You should. That's what Lance Armstrong does. He just travels around in a Sprinter van that's his podcast, and just roams the country doing interviews. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat. The next one is laws be damned, rules be damned, money be damned. What would you own?
What would I own?
No laws, no money, obstacles, anything. Anything.
I'd probably go buy my own planet and then just stay away from Earth.
Would you buy that Nazi planet?
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Does that label me though? I don't know.
Rename it something else?
Yeah. Well, Yeah. If I say yes to that, does that make me a white supremacy guy or what? I don't know.
I mean, in some people's eyes, probably. Yeah. Just the fact that we're talking about it probably makes us white supremacists.
Yeah. Nah, that's a little too cold for me. It has to be a planet that's a little warmer. So, yeah.
Maybe
I'd go and
Venus.
hang out. I'd probably buy all the shit that Elon Musk buys because he's got, big super yachts and, his own spaceships. I mean, heck, why not, right?
I would have the Shield, their big aircraft carrier that flies. That's what I would have.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That thing's cool. I'd take one of those.
Or an aircraft carrier, loaded with the planes and, all that cool stuff, the boats.
Yeah. Have you ever seen one of those do their test runs?
I haven't.
So when they build a new aircraft carrier, they have to test it for sea state. And so they'll go out in the middle of the ocean before they load it out with all the equipment and everything, minimal crew, and then they'll engage all 4 nukes and get that thing up to 70 miles an hour in the middle of an ocean.
Holy shit.
And then they'll just turn it on a dime to where the flight deck literally goes into the water and submerges while that thing takes a turn sideways.
And people are on this thing while they're doing that?
Minimal. It's only what it takes to just go out and do the test runs. But that's how incredible those things are. Like, those things are fast.
Would never have thought it.
And if you have everything tied down, I mean, yeah, you can turn on a dime with those things. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. I would never have thought that they would be able to maneuver like that.
Yeah, you can Google it, and you'll see some pretty incredible
footage
images. There's images of an aircraft carrier sitting like basically sideways, and it's just amazing. It really
cool.
is.
Hey, I gotta check that out.
Those things are incredible.
If you could spend the day at the range with anyone or any group of people, whether they're dead, still alive, fictional, who would it be?
Yeah, Dad would definitely be top on the list.
Good answer.
Yeah, I'd throw some other guys in there with us. I'd throw my uncle in there. I kind of refer to him in the book, and definitely my grandpa from World War II. But yeah, it'd be definitely family members for sure.
Very cool. Like that answer. All right, so you passed, man. You are now official Lead Head. Welcome to the Lead Head Brigade, Clint.
All right, love it. You guys have like a big foam thing you wear on your head, kind of like cheese heads, or?
No, we do a little bit. We got shirts. Yeah, we do shirts. So you have to give me your address, and I'll send you a Lead Head Brigade shirt, and maybe even throw a leady in there for you too.
All right, I'll definitely sport it for you.
Hells yeah.
All right.
So before I get you out of here, I want to talk about what you're doing now in the company that you founded when you retired. It's Escape the Wolf. Let's talk about what you guys are doing there. You're doing some pretty amazing things over there.
Yeah, Escape the Wolf started as a little book I put together. So how to travel and be the gray guy. And then one day it got circulated around, and one day it ended up in the hands of the global security director for the Wall Street Journal. And that was the day that the book became a company, because he calls me and says, hey, I want everything in this book to be taught to my 700 most elite journalists. And I'm like, okay. And so I took the book to a developer, turned it into e-learning. And then that travel safe curriculum is sitting on Wall Street Journal, Dow Jones servers. And now they are required. Yeah, they're required. All those journalists are, I think to this day, still required to take that before they go overseas. So anyway, that was the beginning. And now Escape the Wolf is doing crisis management policy and training development for small to large organizations, nonprofits, places of worship, private schools. So we literally come in and build out your crisis management program, or we just, make your current one a little better. And so the things you'll see in the book, Right Kind of Crazy, I talk about some of the more sexy stuff we do, which is red teaming. Mm-hmm. And that is going around to Fortune 500 companies mainly because they're the ones that, have intellectual property or technology they want to protect from foreign intel services. And so we go in and we kind of pretend to be the bad guys or a or a hostile foreign intel service, and we try to break into the companies and basically get to whatever they tell us. Hey, we want you to get to the servers, or see if you can get to the CEO's office. So there's always
there's a good story. I'm laughing because there's good stories in the book. You tell a couple of those that.
Yeah. So
classic.
we do those from time to time, but a majority of the work really is, making sure employees know what to do when there's active shooters, cyber threats, natural disaster, medical events, and of course our foundation, which is, safe travel abroad. Mm-hmm. So that's it, man. Escape the Wolf is, it's kind of a unique industry. It's growing, but we are kind of first movers in the market, and it keeps us busy.
Very good. Now, and you, not just corporations, but you work with schools and different entities like that as well.
Yeah. We've got a couple of private boarding schools up in the Northeast, and the parents were the ones that were driving it. So you have Harrison Ford's kids and Elle McPherson's kids. They're all going to these high-end boarding schools, and so it was the parents that said, "Hey, bring in someone to get this stuff done." And so, pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Give your website where people can find more information about Escape the Wolf, your Wolf social media and all that.
Yeah, so my entire ecosystem is at clintemerson.com, and you'll see everything I've got going on there. But specifically for Escape the Wolf is escapethewolf.com, and then on social media, all the handles are Escape the Wolf.
At Escape the Wolf. Yeah.
At Escape the Wolf. Yep.
Very cool. Yeah, that's interesting. Have you got a story that you could tell our listeners, that's in the book, but just to kind of give them a taste of what to expect, some of the stories about your red teaming? You got another one you could tell?
Yeah. There's we did one against a big media.
What you're doing with this, this is like something I would want to do. I would love to do, what you guys are doing. you're just you're
no, it's
espionage. You're playing espionage, but you're doing it. People are paying you to do it to their own companies.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's you're getting paid to be a troublemaker. So I think we've done a bunch, and I think probably another one that's not in there was a media company, and they have a big internet signature, and so they wanted their server room. They wanted us to see if we could get to the server room, right? Which for them is their biggest vulnerability. And so we spend 96 hours is the only we get. Basically the company, they know the 30-day window, but we get to pick the 96-hour spot, and they don't get to know that part, right? So that way we don't get any false positives on their security.
Right.
And so then we'll go 96 hours straight. And the first, several hours is always reconnaissance and surveillance. We watch the buildings, we watch the people, and then we slowly come up with a plan of how we're going to get in. A lot of times we walk through the front door, right? And I talk about that in the book. But at this particular, they were small. So when they closed up at night, they locked every door and then they were gone. And it wasn't a big enough company to where you could kind of roll in with the crowd during lunch, or, at the end of the day, you could roll in against the grain or anything like that. So we literally had to break in. And so there was a back door that was the most vulnerable. And so we figured out how we could bypass it without, leaving any signature. And of course, alarms, right? That's your biggest threat. And once you get past the locks, now you got to deal with alarms. We get that alarm and it starts going off, which is okay. It's the call out to 911 that you're most worried about. So it's a mad rush to find the panel. The panel is like the brains to any alarm system. So anybody who has an alarm in their house, you're always going to have a panel. Right. And so we are like running through this place trying to figure out where the panel is. And we finally find it in the break room, like up above some like cabinets. They had attached it to the all a pod, which is smart.
Are you just following wires at this point to see where they're leading to get to it, or?
No, you're just using your flashlights, just trying to find that panel. And so the point being is, for any of you with home security, the panel always needs to be put in the most obscure, screwy place. You don't want it to be in the master bedroom closet at eye level, right? Because that's where any smart bad guy is going to look there. You want it like where they had it. They had it up and away in a screwy spot. And then once we got up there, it was locked. And so then you had to get through that. And then once we opened it up, then you could finally do what needed to be done. But talk about, almost burning ourselves with law enforcement, because if we don't get to it in a certain amount of time and basically disengage a couple of different wires, depending on the make and model, then the call out will happen, right? It'll automatically go to 911. The cops will show up.
Right.
It's not a very glamorous, sexy story because we just never have had the cops show up. We've been lucky because there is a lot of luck when it comes to breaking and entering, especially if you never got to see the inside of the target. But once you're in, then you own the place for the night, right? You can use an entire cycle of darkness, and imagine what can be done in an entire cycle of darkness and to a company. And that's the scary part. And that's why it's so important that everybody that it works for you understands the importance of good security. And because
when you're doing these break-ins, you've got certain people that know that what you're up to. And then if you guys get caught, then you've got like a number or somebody that
right.
Can
the only
vouch
people
for you.
Yeah, the only people in the company that know we're coming is usually the attorneys. And then we have them write a letter on letterhead that basically serves as a get out of jail free card, right? So if we do get rolled up by law enforcement, we just basically pull that letter out and we show it to them. And then the law enforcement will do their job on vetting and ensuring that it's credible and call all the right numbers. And then hopefully we don't go to jail that night.
But you've not had to do that yet, right?
We have not. We have not been rolled up and put in jail. And there's been probably a couple of close calls. That was one of them where that alarm became a frantic, like, oh God, we're going to get burned. But we found it and neutralized it in time. But yeah, it's fun. There's no doubt about it. It is really a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for sharing that story. But you guys definitely go get his book, because he's got a couple more in this book that are definitely more exciting than that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Because there's some good details on there. All right, Clint, I think it's time. Let's pick who we're going to give this book away to, and then I'm going to announce another giveaway that we're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Facebook page. I'm going to go to Talking Lead's Facebook page, and I think there's a way where I can go in here and look at our top subscribers, or whatever they top fans. That's what they call them. Let's just do this. Let's pick a number between 1 and, let's say, 50. I mean, there's several here. Or let's narrow it down even more. 1 to 25.
1 to 25?
Yeah. You got like a number randomization or something there on your phone?
Well, I'll just I'll go with hold on a second. Let me do some math real quick, and that'll come up with a number. What's 5 plus 3 plus 2 plus 6?
16.
Okay, there you go.
16. 1. All right. I'm going to read the names as I whiz by you as not being a winner. 1, 2. I'm not going to do it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 is what we said?
16, yeah.
That looks to be Richard Covert.
All right. Congratulations.
Richard Covert, married to Wheezy Covert since March 1st, 1989. You've got a We Remember thing. I'm just looking at his page there. So Richard, talkingled@gmail.com. I'm going to send you my copy that Clint sent me of the book. It's not autographed, I don't think it's autographed in there. But I'll autograph it for you. I'll put my autograph on there. But under one condition, you got to pass it on to someone else when you get done.
All right.
So talkinglead@gmail.com, I'm going to send you this book. So congratulations to, I hope they don't call him Dick. Hope that's not his Dick cover. All right.
Yeah, that might be an alias.
So I announced last episode that I'm going to be doing the X-Steel Targets Gong giveaway and what you got to do to win that. And I want more participation on that. So you got to go back to last episode. I tell you what you got to do to be able to win the X-Steel Targets Gong. I'm not going to tell you in this episode. I'm going to make you go back if you've not listened to that episode. I don't make it easy for them, Clint. I make them work for their giveaways.
There you go. Good job.
So we've been celebrating our 300th episode ago, and we've been giving some epic giveaways. ASP USA has given us their XTDF, their dual fuel flashlights. So we've given several of those away. 1776 United, who does all Talking Lead swag, gave away 4 $25 gift cards. So thanks to James for that. Nick over at Dooley Defense put up a SOS-22 Rebel silencer. We gave that away
nice.
A few episodes ago. Glock gave us several $75 gift cards to use at their store. Jeff Kirkham over at Rats Tourniquets has given us some Rats Tourniquets that we've been giving away. And let's see, what else did we give away? We gave a lot of other stuff. But we're down to the Gong, and we're down to the Kel-Tec CP33. And the CP33 is going to be coming soon, guys. I'm going to tell you what you're going to have to do to be eligible to win that CP33, their 22 pistol. It's a very nice competition 22 pistol. All right, guys. So now to make a special giveaway announcement, we brought our good buddy David Edelman with Mission First Tactical in. And some of you probably saw our attempt at a Facebook Live announcement. It was pretty sorry. I do so few of those that, I'll do one and then I'll get everything down and then I forget when I go to do another one because there's so much time in between when I do the lives. I guess I need to do more lives. So, David, welcome in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So you and I were at the FLIOA, their biennial conference this year, and we got together and we had a brainstorm, and we thought it'd be a good idea to throw the Talking Lead logo on these new products that you guys are pumping out. Talk about those real quick, your new Kydex.
Appreciate it. So we're doing Kydex-style wallets and dump trays. Right now we got our minimalist wallets. We like to say stay organized and carry only what you need in this slim and comfortable wallet. Securely store and easily access up to 8 credit cards or 15 business cards. And the printing on it is chemically bonded to ensure wear and scratch resistance. It's actually part of the product now. You have to scratch material off to get the design off.
That's cool.
So it's a nice, it's permanent. It's a nice slim wallet, for everyday carry. We're using that .08 Boltron that we use on the holsters that we manufacture. And just like the holsters, they're handmade by vets, made in the USA.
Very cool. What we're going to do is on those wallets, we've got the classic Talking Lead logo, and we've got the Lead Head Brigade logo that you're going to be giving away 6 each of those, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then those awesome dump trays, we've got the classic Talking Lead logo. Is it the classic or is it the Lead Head Brigade logo?
It's the classic Talking Lead, and then we're also doing the AK corner.
We're doing our brand new, if you guys haven't seen it yet, our Talking Lead AK corner logo. We had that specially designed. I didn't have it for the first episode. He just didn't have it ready in time, but I posted it with episode 2, the Talking Lead AK corner, which is out now. Make sure you guys go listen to it. We gave away 500 rounds of Red Army ammo, and we gave away 10 U.S. Palm mags and a U.S. Palm grip to some lucky lead heads. So it pays to listen to the Talking Lead podcast just like it does right now with this giveaway that we're doing with Mission First Tactical. And tell them what they got to do to be able to win these, to be eligible to win.
Sure. So there's we're hosting this through Gleam, and you'll find the link on either Talking Head or Mission First Facebook page. We've also sent out some emails. So all you have to do is click on the link. It's going to take you into a page where it basically tells you what you need to do. It's pretty easy. There's a lot of different ways to enter. You can visit the Mission First Tactical Facebook page or the Talking Lead Facebook page. You can visit both of our Instagram pages. You can go hear one of the Talking Lead podcasts, or you can check out MFT's everyday designs on these products. You can share it with your friends, and then if you do all of them, you get a nice big bonus. That's and right. Cool. And on Sunday, the system's gonna pick a winner for 18 different products. So there'll be 18 winners in this. And then based on some initial requests, as soon as we launch this, we're going to be selling these on our website. So they are not up on the website yet, but when they will be shortly.
What that means, Leadheads, is like I tell you, you support those that support this podcast, and we get to bring you awesome stuff like this more often. So these awesome giveaways like Mission First Tactical's doing, like Century Arms is doing, like Kel-Tec's doing, like X Steel Targets is doing, like ASP is doing with us, like Dooley Defense, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, we take care of our listeners as long as you're going and taking care of our sponsors, our supporters, our friends of the show, like Mission First Tactical. So go and do that. Like you said, you go to their website. It's missionfirsttactical.com, and those are going to be up for sale also. So if you just can't wait, you want to go ahead, or you didn't win, you can go and buy these, and they're not going to be expensive, and they're very affordable, and they make great gifts with the holiday season coming up.
Talking about $20 to $40.
It's nothing. Great
pretty reasonable
stocking stuffers right there, guys. So go take part in this contest. We're making it easy. It's all automated through this Gleam system. It's one of those where you go in like a website, a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and you get X amount of entries. So at the end of this, which is Sunday, okay, so November the 24th, that's when the contest ends. We're going to pick a winner. When are we going to announce the winner?
Monday, the 25th.
The 25th. So November the 25th, we're going to announce the winner, and we'll have our live shit figured out by then, and we'll make a live announcement on who the winner is, who the winners are, because we're giving away 18 different items here to you Leadheads. So very cool. David, we appreciate you stepping up and taking care of the Leadheads, especially here during the holiday seasons. We're kind of doing this to make up for the fact that we're not doing a Black Friday, Cyber Monday special edition show. Sorry, just didn't have time to put that together this year for you Leadheads. We'll bring it back next year bigger and better, but I think you're probably okay with what we're doing to make it up, right, Leadheads? All right, David, thank you so much. One more time, give everybody Mission First Facebook, Instagram, website, all that.
Sure, you can find us at www.missionfirsttactical.com, at Mission First Tactical on both Facebook and Instagram.
Very cool. So what I've got coming up, guys, just to let you know, I'm going to be headed to Idaho and going to visit Buck Knives. We're going to go up there. We're going to get a tour of facilities. We're going to do some social media live while I'm there. So make sure you guys are paying attention to the Instagrams and the Facebooks, because we're going to be doing some stuff there. We're going to record while we're up there. They've got some new projects that we're going to be unveiling. And then also while we're up there, Occam Defense Solutions, who is one of the sponsors of the Talking Lead AK Corner. They're just like an hour away, so we're going to drop in, visit Brian Keeney there, and see what he's up to with their AK-47s, the 1775, and it's going to be a good trip. We're going to be doing that next week, so there probably won't be a show next week, just to give you a heads up. But the AK Corner is coming. The episode 2 of the Talking Lead AK Corner is going to be dropping on the 15th, so you don't want to miss that. We talk about all the AKs from around the world. And Clint may have some AK-47 experience. You've probably encountered one or two, huh?
A little bit, yeah. You gotta put it on fire in order to charge that weapon. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
Which sometimes can lead to trouble, like a whole lot of accidental discharges.
Accidental? Is there a such thing?
Yeah. Depends on what they hit.
Right. Well, maybe we'll have to have you on the AK Corner sometime.
Yeah, sure.
That is a whole nother segment that we do. Sponsored by Century Arms and Occam Defense Solutions. But big thanks to all the sponsors that make this show possible. Kel-Tec Weapons, leadheadbrigade.com. Check them out. I just made a post on the PLR 16 on some modifications that I'd done to that. Make sure you go check out that. And use these discount codes. Medicine in Bad Places. Talking Lead is the code, and you're going to get 20% off anything on their website. And remember, their IFAC kits, if you use anything in their IFAC kits, they replace it at no additional cost for you. So you use it, you get in touch with them, and they're going to replace anything you use out of their IFAC kits. And then to get 15% off their training courses, Talking Lead 15. It's that simple. Go to Medicine in Bad Places. First Tactical, use the code FLEOA, F-L-E-O-A. Get 25% off, and they're going to donate another 10% to the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association at First Tactical. The holidays are coming up, guys. These are great gifts that you can get for anyone in your family, your friends, all these places that I'm giving you these codes for. Modern Spartan Systems. Don't just clean your firearms, optimize them with Modern Spartan Systems. Line of lubricants and carbon destroyers, and they even got TVT engine oil additive that makes all your engine runs perfect. TLCP 15. That's TLCP 15. 15% off, and they're going to donate another 15% to Camp Patriot. Well, we've had Camp Patriot on the show, another great nonprofit veteran organization. And then ASP USA on those flashlights, any of their flashlights or flashlight accessories, lead 20, get you 20% off. And Black Collar Arms, we gave you a discount code back during that episode. Go back to that episode, get that code. Those bolt action pistols, they're going to give you a discount on that. And I got some discounts coming on the AK corner coming up too for some of those companies there. But yeah, that's it. Clint, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. Appreciate you being a sport and taking part in our segments. Had a good time.
Hey, not a problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the push, and thank you to all your lead heads for their support.
You are always welcome back anytime. You got a new project, you got a new book coming out, let us know. We'll make sure we have you on. We'll talk about it. We're going to be at SHOT Show. I know you said something about SHOT Show. If you're going to be there, come visit us. Come visit us. We're going to be at the Buck Knives booth again this year.
Okay.
And we'll have the lead quarters set up. We'll be doing interviews and having a good time up there.
All right. Well, I'll stop by and say hi.
Awesome. Very good.
All right.
Leadheads, again, make sure you go check out Clint's new book, The Right Kind of Crazy, and check out his 100 Deadly Skills. Get them at Amazon. And, of course, you can go to his website, Clint Emerson. Is it ClintEmerson.com?
That's right.
ClintEmerson.com. But until then, and as always, Leadheads, keep your loved ones close.
Yeah, keep your firearms close and your herpes medication closer.
I like that. Especially if you're a SEAL.